It's been a week since we got our first look at the 5.7.0 PTB containing the changes to the Legion, so let's get into how these changes will affect the Legion and the game itself going forward. The first and most important series of changes are to the Lesions Base Kit, which are geared towards rewarding players for chaining hits with a stackable movement speed bonus of 0.2 meters a second per hit, and to instantly put any survivor into the dying state on your 5th hit. For reference, this means that now Legion can go up to 6 meters a second as opposed to 5.2. This change accomplishes something major which really adds onto the stall capabilities of Feral Frenzy, while adding a reward for punishing survivors who group up too much. The second set of changes are geared towards addressing Legion's long cooldowns by reducing the fatigue duration from 4 seconds down to 3, and changing the power cooldown to begin at the start of the fatigue rather than the end of it. These changes will allow for more aggressive plays using Feral Frenzy, as not only will your power be more readily available, but strategies such as trying to body block survivors or cut ahead of them is more feasible thanks to a combination of the lower fatigue time and the increased movement speed bonuses. These base kit changes do a really good job at addressing a core problem that Legion has had, which is that their power didn't have much of an end goal to it. In fact, previously, most of the utility it had was lost the moment that all survivors were injured. While these changes are great news for Legion, I have two main points of concern that I would like to see addressed either for the release of the mid-chapter or sometime after it. My first concern is that the rewards for chaining hits by themselves might not be enough by themselves, which will especially be true for larger maps. This means that one-on-one chases may prove to still be a struggle for Legion, and their power itself will just be neutered by being unlucky and loading on another's dwelling. A simple fix that I think will go a long way to help with this is to include a new benefit for chaining hits, which is that each chained hit will reduce Legion's fatigue time further by another 0.25 seconds per hit. This would allow for the Legion to have an opportunity to cut off survivors faster, even in the case of this just being another 0.25 seconds per hit. This could prove to be very useful on larger maps by giving survivors less time to run across the entirety of the map. With even a couple of hits, body blocking could easily become a deadly strategy on Legion, all while only giving them one shot at doing so unless they go off to chain more hits. On the flip side, some of the add-ons Legion has, which I'll be getting to shortly, may prove to make the Legion problematic on smaller maps, such as Gideon Meat Plant, Dead Dog Saloon, and Coal Tower. If you've played Dead by Daylight for long enough, you'll probably be very familiar with the feeling of not looking forward to an upcoming match when you see a map offering. This is true in the case of Nurse with range add-ons burning Midwich, survivors who burn Ire Crows or Badham, since most of the time the intent will be malicious. The same rings true for Legion, as burning Gideon Meat Plant may prove to be popular, especially when paired with the new add-on, Never Sleep Pills. Other offerings for relatively small maps may be used with this add-on, which I believe will make the Legion problematic again, as their power itself negates most of the safety that windows and palettes would normally provide. The simple solution to this is just to give Never Sleep Pills a new effect, which shouldn't be difficult, as Feral Frenzy is a power that has many options for new add-ons, a luxury that some powers don't really get. Changing this add-on shouldn't prove to be an issue at all, since at worst, Legion will lose what will be most of the time a meme effect, and at best, Legion can just gain a more impactful add-on that can be useful in more scenarios. Speaking of add-ons, let's actually get into the add-on changes. The common add-ons keep it short and simple. Smiley Face Pin will now make it to where survivors who mend themselves are afflicted with blindness for 60 seconds, which is a nice change not only for Smiley Face Pin, but also the Pin series of add-ons, as this will encourage survivors to group up in order to avoid these effects of mending. Scratch Ruler received a pretty sizable buff, reducing the cooldown time by 5 seconds, an increase from its previous value of 2 seconds. Mischief List also received a simple buff to increase the Feral Frenzy duration by 2 seconds as opposed to just half a second. Friendship Bracelet was reworked into a brand new effect, which is to increase the lunge duration in Feral Frenzy by 0.3 seconds, or otherwise a 50% longer lunge than normal. Now, for the uncommon add-ons, they bring some new effects to the table. Never Sleep Pills adds 10 seconds to the duration of Feral Frenzy at the cost of reducing the initial speed of Feral Frenzy down to 4.6 meters a second. While this add-on itself was designed as a mean blood point add-on that most killers typically get now, I don't believe this add-on was thoroughly tested out, as the result of this is that you'll get near guaranteed Feral Frenzy downs the moment you chain at least 2 hits together. Mural Sketch increases the bonus speed per hit in Feral Frenzy by 0.1 meters a second, allowing the maximum movement speed bonus to be increased from 0.8 meters a second to 1.2 meters a second. Julie's Mixtape allows you to break breakable walls 30% faster and pause your power gouge while doing so. But let's be real, the only reason why you would ever use this add-on is to change your chase theme. Etch Ruler was reworked to where survivors who mend themselves are afflicted with Oblivious for 60 seconds, which is actually an interesting idea on paper, but in execution you're just shooting yourself in the foot, as you'll cut off potential killer instinct information from your power, as Oblivious survivors aren't affected by anything related to your terror radius. I'd either change the Legion's power to still mark Oblivious survivors, or maybe they should just make a new add-on idea in place of this. The Face Smiley Pen continues the theme of status effect add-ons, where survivors who mend themselves are afflicted with Mangled until they heal. Nice and simple. Going on to the rare add-ons, we have the Lesion Pen, which makes it to where survivors who mend themselves are broken for 60 seconds. Joey's Mixtape, on the other hand, makes me question why there are so many status effect add-ons for Legion now. Its secondary effect is that survivors who mend themselves are afflicted with the Hemorrhage effect until they heal, which is also a questionable effect because there's really no point in healing against a Legion actively using Feral Frenzy in the first place. Susie's Mixtape received a solid buff, increasing the detection range of Feral Frenzy by 20 meters, an increase from its previous value of 16 meters. This is also now the only add-on that increases the detection range of Feral Frenzy. Stylish Sunglasses, on the other hand, is perfection. Survivors who mend themselves within 24 meters of you will have their auras revealed. Ironically, both Stylish Sunglasses and Mural Sketch actually have the exact add-on effects that I wanted to see on Legion, which is actually pretty cool now that I'll get to see this in-game for myself. Stolen Sketchbook reduces the power drain penalty of hitting a survivor outside of Feral Frenzy by 7.5 seconds, which, I mean, sure, I guess? I think there's a better idea they could have gone for, which would have been to just remove the penalty altogether and then just make that a base kit feature, but sure behavior. For the very rare add-ons, we have Stab Wound Study. Its effect has been unchanged, which is likely to resemble its use rate after this update drops. BFFs is a brand new add-on, which is actually very unique and pretty cool. Essentially, chaining hits will add stacks to the add-on, and once you achieve 30 stacks, your add-on will activate after the last generator is completed, providing a permanent 4% movement speed bonus outside of Feral Frenzy. Personally, I think removing the condition of all the generators needing to be done would make this add-on perfect, but overall, behavior actually did a pretty good job with this add-on. Filthy Blade is now the only add-on to increase mending time, and it does this by an increase of 4 seconds up from 2.5. Frank's Mixtape. Why does this add-on exist? Just why? Frank's Mixtape reduces the time it takes to destroy generators in Feral Frenzy by 20% and pauses your power gouge while doing so. Much like its counterpart Julie's Mixtape, the only real use of this add-on is to change your terror radius theme. Maybe a simple change here would be to merge Frank's Mixtape with Julie's Mixtape together with a flat 30% value for both actions. Finally, with the Iridescent add-ons, we have Iridescent Button. This now only destroys Paladin Vault and Feral Frenzy. It's a nerf, but I understand this nerf as Lesions Base Kit is stronger now. Fuming Mixtape was actually made into a pretty useful add-on now, as it'll still show the progress of generators based off of aura intensity, but now it'll also make untouched generators regress while in Feral Frenzy. This is actually a much better change to Fuming Mixtape than anything that I could have came up with myself. So this is another add-on that Behavior did a really good job with. If all these add-on changes were to stay the same on live release, Lesion would have at least 10 consistently useful add-ons, which is a nice increase from the only 3 good add-ons that Lesion previously had. Overall, despite my criticism, I do believe that most of these changes were really well done and will open up a lot of new opportunities and playstyles for Lesion players to capitalize on. And this is one of the better updates that Behavior has actually done to an older killer, which I personally only think that the Plague, Doctor, and Leatherface changes were better. That's all I have to cover for now. My next video will most likely be focusing on the Ghostface changes, and should be out by Saturday. I figured I'd make this video first, as I have more positive things to say about the Lesions changes, while the same isn't necessarily true for Ghostface. If you enjoyed what I had to say today, please consider checking out my socials in the description below, and tell me what you think about the changes in the comments below as well, as I would love to hear what you all think. But, for the meantime, thank you for watching.